This is Rohingya Vision News. Today is Monday, 31st March 2014. I am Sarah Ahmed. Rohingya and population census in Arakan. Mongdo Township, Arakan State. Military torture Rohingya in northern Mongdo for refusing to accept Bengali. A group of military security force and census enumerators entered a small Rohingya quarter in the village of Tamanthar, Shah Bazar, northern Mongdo around 8 a.m. today. It has around 30 households. They called out Rohingya members of the quarter and gathered them in one place. They inquired Rohingyas of their ethnicity. Rohingyas replied Rohingya. Upon that, the military and the security threatened and forced them to accept Bengali. The Rohingyas refused to do so. Therefore, later, around 10 a.m., an army captain from the battalion number 536 began to beat Rohingyas. They called out 10 Rohingyas from the crowd. The authority inquired them of their ethnicity. They claimed Rohingya. Then authorities started beating and torturing them before everyone. Later, they were taken to the office of village administrators. There too, they were tortured. Later, they were released at about 11 a.m. Two of them severely injured Rohingyas are number 1 Badi Alam, son of Ali Ahmad, and number 2 Hafiz Ahmad, son of Ali Muddin. Besides, the military at their gunpoints forced all the Rohingya members from the quarter to stand under the hot sun since 11 a.m. until the afternoon. Fiaz and CR report. Around 9 a.m. today, another group of census enumerators arrived at the village of Pantopin Lalboina East and Pantopin Nyoathit Lalboina Noafara, southern Mongdo. First, the group talked to some Rohingya seniors from the village. The Rohingyas replied, we won't be participating. You allow just us to claim our ethnic identity, Rohingya. So the group tried to go house by house only to get the same responses. So the team asked the village administrator to write a report to the authority that his villagers were not practicing in the event. He wrote it about, but adding that the villagers didn't participate in the census as the census enumerators refused to follow the law and give Rohingyas their own ethnicity identity. A similar report was made by the village administrator of Mirullah Minhalatun, southern Mongdo, refused to take part yesterday because the team was not registering them under the ethnic category Rohingya. They entered 18 households. Of them, 3 households provide their date falling into tricks by the census team. They left keeping the ethnic category blank. Mongdo Township Administrator and Regional Security Force had tried to both coax and threaten Rohingyas to accept the term Bengali, but only to be in vain. The team also visited the nearby village Gorakhali and received the same responses. Afterwards, the team census left the village of the Rakhine villages in the Bangona village tract. Tomorrow, the census team is expected to arrive at the village of Bangona to win report. At 7:50 a.m. today, a group of security force, police, and census enumerators arrived at the village of Italia, Hita Liafara, Mongdo. First, the group talked to some Rohingya elders from the village. They made it clear that they wouldn't be participate unless we are given our legal right to claim Rohingya. Hence, the enumerators tried some tricks by asking the elders to write a letter with signatures mentioning that the villagers were not participating because of not mentioning the term Rohingya. The Rohingya seniors refused to do so. They then asked the names of the heads of each household to enable them to survey on Rohingyas through the files in the immigration office. Rohingya seniors refused to do that as well. And they said, now we will do some field works and go to house by house. They started their attempt from the house of Sirajul Haq. However, they were not successful. They did in some other houses as well, only to be in vain. In one house, the group started asking other details of the household, keeping the ethnic category aside. The head of the household realized that, so whenever he asked a question, his response was only Rohingya. The team census asked, "What's your name?" He replied, "Rohingya." They asked him, "What is your father's name?" He replied, "Rohingya." They asked him, "What's your mother's name?" He again replied, "Rohingya." Besides, it has also learned that the census enumerators need to erase the data provided by the respondents again and again. They were not properly trained. They were not using the 2B pencil provided by the UNPFA, said participating in the process, Mongzi report. Yesterday morning, a group of census enumerators made the village of Yeduenchong, northern Mongdo. They visited 50 households. However, they did not carry out any census on the villagers because Rohingya claimed the ethnicity to be Rohingya. Yet, the villagers were forced to pay 500,000 for the food, transportation, and accommodation of the enumerators and other team members. When the villagers asked the villager administrators why they had to pay money to them as they didn't do anything regarding the census, the village administrator replied, "We have reported to the township administration that we have carried out census in the village. That's why you have to pay," Sindhi Khan report. Around 8:30 a.m. today, a team of census enumerators made to the village of Nuat Yotong, northern Mongdo, and summoned heads of respective 10 households. They forcibly took their profiles and household members. Afterwards, they summoned some more people from the village, and the people refused to be present. So the census team, "We will get your data from the immigration office. It is okay even if you don't provide them." And they left, CR report. At 10 a.m. on 31st March 2014, Mongdo Township Administrator Ushi San summoned the administrators of the village under Region 6 Northern Mongdo. He met up with the administrators in the village of Zinpengnya of the same region. He asked the administrators to ask the Rohingya villagers if they would like to take part in the population census under the ethnic category Bengali and reply him by 4 p.m. of the day. The villagers administrators had meeting with the respective villagers. However, the villagers said, "We would only take part if we can get our legitimate right to claim Rohingya." Sindhi Khan report. Sitwe Akyap, Arakan State. Around 8 a.m. today, a team of census enumerators, together security forces numbering around 1,000, entered the village of Bame, a Rohingya village in Sitwe Akyap Township. The team went to a house by house and asked what their ethnicity was. As Rohingyas replied their ethnicity as Rohingya, they asked the same to almost every household in the village. They got the same responses. Besides, they asked, like in the Italia village in Mongdo, the elders to write a letter with signatures mentioning that the villagers were not participating because of not mentioning the term Rohingya. Hence, they left the village at 10 a.m. of the day without carrying out the census. The wards they visited are Bame, Ward 15, Ward 16, Ward 8, and Ward 9. One more group went to Ohtown Jin village behind Sitwe University at about 10 a.m. Yet Rohingya suspect the Burmese programs of RFA, BBC, VOA, and other media alike will broadcast the news if the census enumerators did their task and filled up the ethnic category with Bengali in the census, reports Salam Oek and Said Arkani. Chokdo Township, Arakan State. Around 9 p.m. on 31st March 2014, a group of census enumerators and security forces numbering 50 arrived at the village of Apok Wow, Kuchotok Township. They inquired the villagers of their ethnicity. The villagers replied Rohingya in unisound. Hence, the team left without carrying out the census. However, when the team went house to house, 3 households, without knowing the reality, happened to provide the census their family date. But when they said Rohingya to be their ethnicity, they left the houses keeping the ethnic category blank. Similar things happened in other villages of the township like Pokto Palong, Poidafara, Shua Halang, Lasokok, and other few villages. Khader report. Marokyu Patharkhila. Around 2 p.m. yesterday, a joint team of military security force, police, and census enumerators numbering 90 in total entered the village of Pangdo Fundukhul, Marok Upatharkhila township. They asked the villagers to participate in the census. The villagers said, "We would only take part if we were given our legal to claim Rohingya as our ethnic status." The census group replied, "We don't have authority to do so. Claim something else." And Rohingyas replied, "We can't claim anything but the ethnic term." The group tried to threaten the villagers, but the villagers were unshaken by their threats. So they left the village. For the village of Piprong only to have the same responses from its villagers. Earlier, they tried to do the same in Boltifara, a village nearby Pongdo. This afternoon, they tried to carry out the same attempts to force Rohingyas to accept the term Bengali in the village of Ziza, but they failed. They went to the village through the village of Zulafara. However, they asked something to the people of Zulafara. Zulafara is a village where many Rohingya houses were burned down, and many Rohingyas were killed by Rakhine Mug terrorists last year. Noor Kamal report. Thandwi Township, Arakan. The villagers of Quarter 2 Thandwi Township warmly welcomed and hosted the census enumeration and security forces team yesterday afternoon. The police in the township politely asked if they can claim their respective ethnic identity, such as Kaman or Rohingya. The team replied, "We don't have permission to do that as that of yet." So Muslims politely asked the team to leave Quarter and not to waste their time. So the team left afterwards. Tonwin report.